Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Mad Mamluks. I'm Mahin and I'm joined by my co-host Sim. We have a real special show for you today. But before we get going, I want to give a quick plea to our listeners to donate to us on patreon.com. So as you all know, this operation needs funds and we have day jobs that keep us going, but any help you can provide would be much appreciated. We don't make money on this show. We just to keep the upkeep going and
we just want your lunch money. Money. Okay, most of your money should be going to beautiful organizations and efforts like what you'll learn about over here today. And $5 a month, it's not too much to ask for.
That's like one lunch or one cup of coffee a month, right?
Yeah, that's lower than a meal a day.
Right. So on today's show, real blessed to have our first father-son combination, Imam S.T. Ibrahim and Gemali Ibrahim. So these brothers, mashallah, I've gotten to know Gemali in the last few years. Imam Ibrahim I've met in passing over various events and whatnot. But there's a lot to talk about. First of all, though, Gemali is on, it's a hot week for you because Chicago Tribune feature. And then you were on Fox Chicago this morning.
Oh, mashallah.
Mashallah. So tell us how that's been.
Well, first a little bit about what you're doing that got you onto the Tribune.
Inshallah, bismillah.
Assalamu alaikum.
So,
Wa alaikum salam.
So I'm a caseworker at Iman, the Inner City Muslim Action Network. I've been there in that capacity since 2017. Been involved with Iman since going back to 2009. And I think my role in Green ReEntry seems to be the best fit profession that I've ever had. Essentially, Green ReEntry started off as a program focused around housing for formerly incarcerated Muslim men. It has grown now to incorporate the trade training. Men are trained in HVAC, electrical, as well as carpentry. There's a heavy soft skills component where we try to build this sense of brotherhood, community, teaching different, quote-unquote soft skills, and hopefully, inshallah, we look to incorporate women into the program this year.
Okay. And you, as far as I understand, this is not just open for Muslims, right? Because it was funny because a couple weeks ago, there was a movie, The Honest Struggle. I think you were on a panel with the screening in the city, and I invited one of my coworkers who attended, asked me if, non-Muslims were allowed into the program. And I was like, I don't know, but, and I was telling, and then I asked one of the brothers, I think Amir, I was like, do you guys let non-Muslims? Like, yeah, we have non-Muslims in the program. And I was actually surprised by that. And I'll tell you why, because I thought it wouldn't make sense strategically to do it because I don't know how many programs there are like this in the country for Muslims. Like Muslim run, it's like a halfway house, right?
Interesting.
Right?
It's not as halfway houses are like institutions that the halfway is halfway in, halfway out. So
okay.
It's kind of like more similar to a jail. It's like a mix between a jail and a home.
So this is like you're out of jail completely.
Yeah, it's a home. There's some support. Obviously, you have to have rules and curfew and kind of policies, things like that, just to govern it. But alhamdulillah, Iman is a community organization. A lot of our guiding principles, you could say come from our tradition. A lot of the staff are Muslim, but not even all the staff are Muslim, and absolutely it's open to participants. It's open to Muslims and non-Muslims, and
okay. But do you understand why I thought it would make sense? Because from a resource perspective, right?
Absolutely, the need.
Yeah, because there's no shortage of Muslim prisoners, right? But if you only have is Atlanta gonna? Because I know Iman's expanding to Atlanta, right? Or it has expanded to Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta branch has been open for a few years. Their Green ReEntry group is doing real well. They actually. They just made a music video. So the motto or the slogan for the program is "One Link, One Chain."
Okay.
Which kind of developed organically from the pledge that we have. But yeah, Atlanta put out a video. Iman is actually we got a challenge up now for people that want to make a remix to the "One Link, One Chain."
All right.
You can go to our social medias and see that. I know the video's on YouTube and the instrumental is out.
Now, so for some of the international listeners, we have listeners all over the world. The Iman is a organization that works in the inner city, stands for Inner City Muslim Action Network.
Correct. Yeah. Iman, we have a family medical clinic or medical center, health center, where we do physical health, behavioral health, mental health, and then we recently were able to reincorporate the dental health aspect. We do organizing work, organizing for advocacy, trying to affect policy, Right now, we're heavily involved in the whole GAPA, which is the police accountability, Grassroots Alliance for Police Accountability. We were down in Springfield a couple weeks ago for Inland Muslim Action Day. We the arts and culture work is how a lot of people know of Iman. So every few years we do Taking It to the Streets, and then Community Cafe is a staple here in Chicago. And then the Green ReEntry actually began back in 2010. But before that, it had always been kind of reentry work. But formally, Green ReEntry was started in 2010. And Iman Atlanta, like I said, 2016, I believe, is when that began.
Okay, and that explains a lot of the. Was the work, your media appearances this week, was that kind of as a follow-up to Honest Struggle or independent of Honest Struggle? Because I know Honest Struggle centers around a brother who went through the or not. I think you said he actually never went through officially the program. He was just
right. So yeah, brother Sadiq, Allah bless him. Sadiq came home in I don't even remember, maybe in 2000.
They said 13, I think it was.
Yeah, it was
right?
before my son was born, 2013. But yeah, so he lived in the adult home that we have, and no, the media stuff this week. So part of our one of our partners at Iman with the Green ReEntry program, particularly with the younger participants who are deemed quote unquote at risk, we're partnered with Chicago Cred, which is through the Emerson Collective. Long story short, one of the resources that they provide is a program called Contextos, which is if you break it down, it has a lot of different meanings, but for context or with context, where essentially they come into the program and they have author circles where the men are writing their memoirs. In December, there was a kind of like a reading, and the books were published, and the author, Sister Darcel, her last name has escaped me at the time, but she was there, and she reached out to Iman, and I sat down with her and Brother Abel Uribe from the Tribune a couple weeks back, and I didn't even know that the story was coming out this week, but I do commend them. I think they did a good job at telling the actual story. Sometimes dealing with media outlets is kind of tricky. Even this morning I kind of fumbled on one of the questions, but that was live, so at least they didn't get to kind of cut it up and nothing like that.
Right.
Wait, the question was live?
Well, the show was
the segment this morning was live.
Okay, so
at Fox 32, and then the Fox 32 piece came directly from them seeing Iman's work in the Tribune.
I got
But
you.
Iman has been featured in news and stuff a lot. Rami
Right.
got the MacArthur Genius Grant last year.
Right,
and stuff,
right.
But for Green ReEntry, I think this was a big one.
Yeah, we've been Rami and I have talked about him coming on. It's just like his schedule is just like crazy. I know he's listening.
hey, if Fox called him, I don't think his schedule would be that crazy. I think people's schedule all of a sudden opens up,
Yeah.
given the right phone call.
Yeah.
I'm just giving him a hard time.
Imam Ibrahim, first, tell us a little bit about the background of your family, because you're kind of like, I guess, the patriarch, right? Like a lot of, seems like, I've known Jamal. I've actually met all your children, right? I think one of your sons is a fellow Buckeye.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I was wondering if you knew Tahir. Okay.
Yeah. So I had met him once, and I think I was wearing some Ohio State swag, as I usually do, and he was like, he came and gave me a hug and everything, and and obviously, Ismail's doing great work and all, and he listens to the show because I see him on our stream sometimes commenting.
Oh, okay.
But tell us a little bit about your background. You come from a non-Muslim background. How does your real brief? How does your journey in Islam look?
Okay. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
I'll try to do it briefly. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I made Shahada November 14th, 1971. I came from a Southern Baptist Christian household. I was the only one in my family who was military. I went to the Navy, acted other than I should have acted, and had got other than a honorable discharge initially, and came home, met some new people, still wanted to get to know more about God. Long story short, met a Muslim, a young brother I used to be with, Salim al-Nurdin. He was into Islam, had a teacher. I hooked up. Islam seemed to be one of the better things I had ever been introduced to. I gradually became closer, made my Shahada, and never looked back. The beauty of my life and my children's life is that we had an organized community with a leader, unchallenged leader without a question of whether or not he's leading right or wrong, but it's like a good family. All the family members cooperating, liking each other, getting along, acquiring property, teaching, sharing, and that's what they came up with. Gemali was born in 1986. I started being Imam at Masjid Umar 1973 as student Imam. I was there through 2009 when we left, under other than circumstances that we would have chosen, but Allah decides. So I used to be known as Imam Ibrahim. Now I'm known as Gemali's father, Issa's grandfather, and my other children's father, but I'm glad because they have represented me in a manner that makes me look good. You want your children to make you look good.
That's what you are. I have 4 kids, and that's what I always tell them. I want you to excel me in every way.
That's right.
That's it.
See, and I have no more children coming, so I have, by all assessments, been successful in the parenting department. And much of that has been because of the support of a religious community, a loving wife, and a serious intent to do good by my Lord. And when you rear children in a household where the husband and the wife or the mother and the father get along, everything else is easy. We didn't allow arguing. You don't see arguing. Arguing is not a norm. It's not acceptable. And what we had was we had a free food pantry. We had job opportunities. We were politically active. We were connected. My children were some of the last recipients of the Illinois State Legislative Scholarship. Gemali got the Legislative Scholarship. General Assembly Scholarship. Tahir got it. It was discontinued because it was a favor-based program that didn't work out. But now I am very pleased to just sit back in our new residence and be a loving grandfather and loving husband and admire the work that my children are doing and try to be supportive of efforts like Mad Mamluks, Talif, Iman, the Islamic Society of Midwest out in Mount Prospect. There are a lot of things happening right now that just make you feel good to be a Muslim. And I'll say this, Muslim men should look like Muslim men. We want Muslim women to look like Muslim women. Well, Muslim men should look like Muslim men, unquestionably. And if you're unable to do that by looking in the mirror, then tweak yourself. But other than that, I'm just happy to make my salat on a daily basis and live this life, fi sabilillah, and pray Allah allow me to live and die as a believer.
So Gemali, you're like, are you the oldest or the second?
I'm my mother's oldest. I'm currently the second oldest.
Okay.
My older brother Idris passed away in 2014.
Oh, rahimahullah. Yeah. So basically,
Hamas is the oldest.
As a kid, did you grow up in Roseland?
I did.
And so Roseland, for those of y'all who don't, so correct me if I'm wrong, because I only know this from the news. Like Roseland is the Wild 100s, they call it.
Yeah.
The Wild Hundreds.
The Wild Hundreds.
when the news tells us the Wild 100s, but the Wild Hundreds.
Okay, so those, like most people in America, I don't know international audience, but people in America have always heard Southside Chicago, murder capital of the world, Southside Chicago, all this stuff, right? And then when sometimes in the news locally you hear, wow, they're in road, like that's like 103rd and out there. So you're growing up there. What kind of, was there ever a desire to get involved in that kind of life for you as a kid, or like?
It was absolutely the norm around us, and even some of the people in the Muslim community, kind of older than me, had gotten caught up in gangs and violence and drugs and fast money, all that stuff. My father did keep a quote unquote tight rein on us as far as that, just being out with the opportunity to kind of look for trouble. I remember even some of my friends would be like, man, you don't never, like, we invite you to come play and hang out, even in grammar school, and it just wasn't an option for me necessarily. But it was everywhere. You see like BPSN or Black Peace Donation on like the books, and GD to the World blow up on the school and everywhere. I went to Curtis Elementary School, and it was definitely a very heavy gang saturation in the neighborhood.
Yeah, it looks like you'd be very conducive to a lot of people wanting to be part of your club. You look like the Drake.
Drake. This before Drake. The Drake before Drake.
Shots fired.
You must get that. Come on.
Never heard of it.
See, I'm on something.
But see, I want to say again, we weren't having it. We had such a strong male-oriented community. We had program every Monday night, 7 o'clock, MOI, Men of Islam, lined up, dressed, ready for the program. And outside activity wasn't an option. My children didn't have guests in the household that weren't Muslim. And we weren't antisocial. We weren't unfriendly. But we weren't looking to make friends outside of our religious environment. But we were friendly to everyone, supportive of everyone. But I was determined to safeguard my children. Matter of fact, we homeschooled my daughter because I went to pick her up from preschool one morning. We was washing our hands in the restroom, and the little boy walked in there to use the bathroom. I said, whoa, this ain't gonna work. And she never went back. I never let her go back because I wasn't going to try to change the way they were doing things. I just wasn't going to subject her to that. And I wasn't going to employ the extraordinary methods to try to undo what the school would do in a regular school day. And being a pretty little girl, it wouldn't have been good for her. So she ended up getting homeschooled. It worked wonderfully. All I wanted her to know how to do was read and count.
Oh, Imam, I'm so glad you weren't raising your kids in this time, because it would be there would be a witch hunt out for you, because nowadays gender is a construct. It's something they made up that.
But I would be the test case. Yeah. It wouldn't just be happening. No.
But mashallah, your daughter, she graduated from Zaytuna College,
yes.
And which is pretty tough to get into too. So
she's ready. I mean, yeah. So alhamdulillah, Allah has blessed us tremendously, but you have to do your part, and we've done our part, and Allah more than did His.
Alhamdulillah. So one thing that I've noticed about your family is, especially in every picture, you guys got the finger, right? Every picture you take.
Yes. Wait, why are you giving people fingers?
It's the index finger, right?
They need
that finger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I always say. Give them the finger, and then I raise the index finger.
Yeah, exactly. I first saw a brother do this, which is raise that right finger, in 1973, downtown Chicago, on opposite sides of the street. And I yelled, "Assalamu alaikum!" Yeah. And he, "Wa alaikum salam." And I thought that was so cool. And I mean, because I knew right away what he meant.
Yeah.
But I hadn't ever seen it displayed in that manner. So I determined that whenever I took a picture, I would raise that finger to bear witness to the oneness of Allah, and for that picture to bear that witness for me, because I'm trying to get to Jannah. So in everything I do, I'm really trying to be mindful of that.
So you just mentioned something, though, back to what you said about the not allowing the non-Muslims into your house, but you have non-Muslim family.
Oh, yeah.
So how does that dynamic work? I mean...
Well, I love my family.
Right.
But I love my family, my non-Muslim family, because Allah says so. And because many of us know some family member, blood family, are hard to love because of behavior. And I started off wanting to go into after I accepted Islam, I'd go into the refrigerator, take all the pork out, but I wouldn't put no beef in there to replace the pork. I mean, I had, it was a confrontational type approach that didn't really work well. But over the years and experientially and come to realize, and imagine, here I am, independent Islam, but I need to go borrow $10 from my mother. That kind of thing helps you to get a little better focus. So over time, I gradually came to realize walk it like you talk it. Islam ain't magic. And everything is about the example. I don't want to hear what you got to say. I want to see what you're going to do. I don't care how you treat Michael Jordan. I care how you treat that homeless guy. So it became for me a legitimate effort to prepare my children with what they would need for the world they live in, and to treat my wife in a way where she never want to go outside and always want to come home. And you develop the type of attitudes where I want people to be happy to see me coming and sorry to see me leaving. But I know too many people where the opposite is true. We had our community, we were so loving, we'd be all having a party, and then the Amir would show up. Then the party would stop.
The Amir?
Yeah.
Of the community.
Yeah,
okay.
because he just had a drag.
Yeah.
I mean, he just dragged. That ain't what he tried to do, but that's what happened over time.
He just killed the party.
Yeah, he was a buzzkill. And let me just
like hang out with these guys.
Yeah. It's like if you have a pot of water.
Yeah.
This guy.
When you have a pot of water and you turn the fire on and it goes to boil.
Right.
That was like our community. We were at a ferocious boil, but no one added any more water. So it boiled down and it burned away. And you can imagine we got away right as it began to scorch the pot. And it's a sad thing when you see people you love and an institution that you love, like the United States, just be dragged down because of poor leadership. Everybody in the family know what should be happening, but daddy acting a fool.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and our representative daddy is
the
yeah.
president.
Acting a fool.
Yeah.
So
Right. So that's I was wondering what happened to this institution that sounded like a really organized effort.
it was the best thing going, bro. It really was, and it saddens me. Nothing lasts forever. Yeah.
Do you think there's any is it something that possibly we could any ideas on how to recreate something like this, or was it something just that was organic that just kind of
Yeah, I think it was more organic that came about as a result of the time and the people and the energy that was there. But there are a lot of opportunities available presently to replicate and even improve on that particular situation. And Iman is one, Ta'leef is another, and there's so many platforms that all together they will give us what we need. And right now, I think the beauty of it is there's no heavy hand in the mix. And if that heavy hand gets in the mix and it's not checked, it's going to be a problem. But because that balance is very difficult to maintain. It's just any balance is difficult to maintain. That's what balance suggests, that you have to watch it and you add one side, add to another. So start where you are. Well, I say use what you have. No, start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. I encourage people to leave home with wudu and make your salat. Make 5 times salat. Don't try to change the world. Change your personal circumstances. See every interaction as that opportunity that will take you over the hump. Like meeting you all. Man, I'm trying to get to Jannah. Just by this, I'm trying to show Allah through my attitude, my disposition, that it may be something that I can say or do or look on my face, a sound in my voice that somebody may benefit from. And it, even though someone else benefits, it's all selfish. It's all about trying to help me. And everyone should be about trying to help themselves first and everyone else subsequently. Now, if helping me hurts you, then I shouldn't help me. But if the opposite is true, then I might hurt me to help you. But I shouldn't hurt you to help me.
But from your paradigm that you just described, if Jannah is the paradigm, then hurting somebody else isn't really helping yourself.
Well, it all depends on who that other person is and the circumstances in which you find him. But if that other person is harming my family, I'm obligated.
Right. Okay.
To intervene in that. But I understand clearly what you're saying.
Yeah.
But that's where the balance comes in. Yeah. First of all, you have to really correctly assess the situation.
Yeah.
Because I've walked up behind some guys and thought they looked pretty good. I thought I was walking up behind a woman. And she looked pretty good. And he turned around and see his beard. Oh, man. Things have changed. But that's a mistake you used to couldn't make.
Right.
But you can make nowadays.
I see. I get what you're saying. So, like, I want to get back to the Green ReEntry thing. As far as, like, people coming in, when you deal with these guys, there's an interview process, right? First and foremost,
there's an application process. There's a vetting of sorts.
Okay.
Yeah. not everybody may not necessarily get an interview to kind of individual interviews to get in, but there is a vetting.
They need like a recommendation from somebody in the system, or is that not necessary?
When you say system, you mean
like for example, in Sadiq's
system?
Case, there was the
chaplain.
The chaplain referred him.
Wait, who's Sadiq?
Sadiq. So there's a movie that just came out called Honest Struggle. Sadiq is one of. He went through Iman's, not the formal Green ReEntry, because I guess it hadn't completely formulated yet, but he was one of those guys that came through from prison, went through Iman, lived in the homes. And
yeah,
then,
it didn't look like it does now. They had some groups go through it, but to get into the home, I believe there has to be some kind of referral or. To get into the home is a little more stringent, obviously, because you're with us on a kind of different basis. Certain people with, certain offenses aren't necessarily allowed into the home. But to get into the program, we try to be open. What we really try to assess, honestly, is does this person need the program, and are they ready to take it seriously?
Okay.
Do they need it? Are they kind of too caught up in the street or what's going on out, and are they really ready to change and be committed to it? Because it's not easy. You have to come every day on time in your uniform, fulfill your duties, whether it's on site, in the classroom, and for a lot of the participants, that is a big shift from their their norm, what they're used to.
Well, has that proved challenging to you? I know, because when you're talking to prison people who've been to prison, they learn how to talk and they know how to say the right words to get that kind of
to get what they're looking for.
Yeah.
So to be honest, most of the people in the program that have been to prison or formerly incarcerated, they're the least problem, because they're used to structure, and most of them are tend to be older because they would have served at the time already, and they really see the benefit of the program and the opportunity that they have, different than the younger guys who maybe have been to county or did a little bit of time in prison, but they don't necessarily always see the opportunity that they have in the program yet, and just the immaturity that's still there. We see guys that they just want to get by. Some of them are there for a check, a legal check, and it's almost like the next year of high school. But we're trying to find ways to tweak the program that can better serve them as well, and not waste the resources and the opportunity. But yeah, most of the guys that come home from prison, they tend to be like the example setters in the program, to be honest.
Can you talk a little bit about, obviously without naming, like examples where someone it just didn't work out? Like, how does that look like? Because
so since I've been in 2017, this is the second cohort we have now, and it's not common, but sometimes you have to realize what this person needs is not necessarily lining up with what we're able to offer, or with our capacity, and. Yeah, I don't want to throw nobody under the bus, but some guys, man, it'd be like, what won't you try to get away with? What won't you do? Yeah, I don't want to say too much, but none of us got into it to kick people out. Right. Everybody that's in the program is really trying to help and is grateful to be, in the opportunity to do so. So it's not easy for a person to get put out, but it has had to happen. Just as order goes, and I mean, we've had guys tell us, man, y'all need to lay down the law a little tougher or a little quicker, but we try to be merciful. Mercy is Allah's foremost attribute.
Yeah. So when someone does get into talk to us a little bit more about the program in itself, like what are the steps of integrating into the program? Like once someone gets accepted, what happens?
So so now kind of the list that we're going through, we're actually in the process of onboarding a third cohort, inshallah, in the next couple months. But a lot of the people on that list were referred from people that are already in the program, who realized firsthand that, man, this thing is solid, And
so a cohort is how long? Like 6 months?
No, the cohorts, they've been Between 12 and 18 months.
A cohort's like basically like a class,
a group,
right?
A group
class
comes to our class.
Okay. On board, I got you.
12 and 18 months. And, usually we invite more people than we have spots for to the orientation, because some people you can end up seeing more than they showed you in the application through this kind of orientation process where you're expected to come every day and to participate. And some people shine and demonstrate that they're ready for it more than others. And, they don't do any of the trade work until that orientation is over. Then they go into kind of complete the core. All of our instructors are NCCER certified.
What does that mean? Like, what does that stand for?
That's a good question.
National certification to get.
Yes. It's like a certification.
Yes, right. You could look it up. NCCER. It's all around construction. And different trades.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But they provide the curriculum. The instructors are trained in that curriculum. All of the instructors, honestly, are tradesmen themselves, and have kind of further knowledge even before they were certified in that. But we try to get real resources for the guys. So to be able to be certified as an electrician or a carpenter or a heating, ventilation, air conditioning technician, it's something that the guys are proud of, man. And the thing about a trade that's different about a job, or different than a job, is that you own that knowledge now. So we've had some of the participants come and do work on the house with us. Lil James, the guy who was one of the guys who was on Fox and in the Tribune with me earlier this week. When when my parents moved into the new house, they came and did electrical work for us, and we're proud. I'm proud to see him earning this money legally, and kind of proud to know his trade and know what he's doing, and but you can do that on your own. You could do it for your mother if she needs something done, but just kind of having a trade is different than clocking in and out of a regular job where, when you leave, you may not necessarily take anything with you.
Well, I thought the one interesting thing that y'all were doing is that, it's everyone knows that felons, it's hard for them to get a job on a job application, right?
We try to say formerly incarcerated.
Formerly incarcerated?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I mean that's a big thing. There was a whole campaign, Ban the Box,
yeah,
which is trying to remove the box from application.
Okay.
Have you been formally convicted?
Okay.
But that's a huge piece of it.
Okay.
National Center for Construction Education and Research.
Don't feed into his silly questions.
No, it's not a silly question. It's not a silly question. I suggest to people, be careful of using acronyms, because somebody might ask you what they mean.
I'm in IT. I have like at least 5 different certifications. I can't tell you what all those acronyms stand for, because they're from all these institutes run by a bunch of old white men who have nothing better to do but create acronyms for certain standardizations.
They create acronyms for acronyms.
Yeah.
I was asking you something before.
And I will say this about the Green ReEntry, the electrical work they did, great work.
This is your house, right?
Yeah. They do great work, great finished work. So I hope they only get better.
So now that wouldn't it make sense then? For like, if I got something to do on my house, if I want to finish my basement, like, can we just feed back in? Call us. So you guys actually. So is that a legit service that if somebody calls the Green ReEntry program, be like, hey, I want to get some housework done. Do you guys have?
Unbelievable. This guy actually needs his basement done. He's already like conducting business on live on the show.
And that's right. Iman will do that disclaimer. Then you'll be responsible for what you get.
That's the right kind of business we're looking for. So yeah, we're in the process. I mean, ideally, we would like to to formulate a construction company that can compete on the open market. And we have, alhamdulillah, in the base of supporters that Iman has, people who've reached out to say, well, can the guys come through and do this work for us? So I think we're trying to see that through. But some of them are out doing jobs right now, I'm sure. It just the whole idea of being independent is so different. Like even going with Lil James and Antonio to Home Depot to get supplies. They probably not used to seeing electricians that look like that, but they know what they're doing is, same as other electricians.
Do you guys actually? So I know there's like re-entry programs as well, like in prison when in their last 2 years of their stint, they're looking to reintegrate into the population. Are there any other conduits that you guys set up for and work with prisons in that regard, where you're just kind of coming to a prison and possibly working in any type of reentry programs?
We aren't going into any prisons yet. We've had one of our, I think the curriculums manager. She went to Cook County. There was some kind of, I don't want to call it a fair, but some kind of
like a job fair, or?
Something like a job fair, for lack of a better term, but at Cook County Jail, where people were signing up, because they were of interest. Into any prisons necessarily. There was a forum, I think, that we've had a presence at the last couple of years, but we don't have a program established within any institution. We get, letters and, people that have interest all the time from, people that are currently still incarcerated.
So the program's going since 2010, you said? Officially?
2010, this idea of Green ReEntry,
Okay.
we had the first group of guys.
Okay. Are you involved in any other work for Iman? Is this your main project for Iman? Or, I know your wife does some work with the creative arts, but is there anything else?
Yeah, my wife is the arts and culture director now.
Okay.
Alhamdulillah. So people probably think I worked for Iman for a lot longer than I have. I worked for an organization, the Southwest Organizing Project, for about 5 years, from 2010. And for half of that time, honestly, my desk was at Iman. So I worked in community organizing. So I have, I learned a lot, had a lot of experience in that field. And it's part of what I tried to, bring to the program. I've definitely done stuff with arts and culture, organized. I've been involved in some capacity, and whether it's just assisting, that's kind of all hands on deck need, as staff, with a lot of the stuff that Iman is doing. Alhamdulillah.
Now, if somebody wants to get in some of these kind of careers, like, I think it's obviously it seems like your father raised you guys with a very like mission centered kind of directive, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, he actually. So when he spoke about in 2009, when we left the community I grew up in, or grew up as a part of, I really was. I think I was a young adult. I had just graduated from college the year before that, and I was looking for something to, become a part of. And Iman was just real attractive, as it was, a lot of young Muslims that were, doing things. And alhamdulillah, I think my getting out there kind of made it easier for a lot of my, siblings, and even maybe some capacity for my parents to kind of get back out there and, get back involved.
I got you. But like, people would want to know, but then I guess
How
immigrant
can people get involved,
Muslims,
you're saying?
I guess immigrant Muslims and like are so. How do I put this like nicely from our like, my parents came over to America for economic gains, right? A lot of immigrants came over for those gains. Mm-hmm. So America is seen as a place to make money, like your career, your trade should be
honey,
right. I would imagine, because I remember we had talked that, like, was it SWAP? Was that the organization you used to be part of?
Correct.
Yeah, and then that they got cut because of Rauner cut the funding for it, right?
So SWAP is still up. Okay. The ceasefire.
Ceasefire, that's right.
Yeah, that's when I got laid off.
So these kind of, or like, these are nonprofits. You're making a livelihood, but it's probably not as you would be an attorney or a physician or other kind of things. That how do you convince somebody, like, with that understanding that, mm-hmm. okay, these are what these jobs pay, what is necessary for that person to make that jump? Or how would you convince a parent of a kid that wants to do that? If we're in the suburbs right now, if a kid comes to you and is like, they listen to the show and they like, I want to do what you do in 10 years. You're in high school right now, but my parents don't think I can support a family or this and that. They're worried about me financially. How would you advise that kid or their parents?
SubhanAllah. I'm grateful. My wife and I have been able to make it work. Is one of the things about working in a nonprofit is that there's no kind of guaranteed funding stream. So like when I got laid off at SWAP, that was a big eye opener. That a lot of times you're hoping that your work is deemed valuable enough by somebody willing to fund it. As far as a person deciding on a career like this, a lot of it is that purpose, that mission that you feel drawn towards. I have a high level of fulfillment versus maybe someone that is doing the job that may be making more money, but maybe dread seeing their coworkers or doesn't maybe feel ethically right about some of the duties that they have. You know, I never knew what I wanted to do, and I ended up going to college. My bachelor's is criminal justice. Before that was done, I realized I was not going to be involved in that system. So being in the community was kind of something that was always in me from my upbringing, but I didn't necessarily want to sell myself away 8 hours at a time, you know. So even when I drove Lyft, when I got laid off, I didn't really apply for any jobs because that was sufficient enough for me. But when the opportunity to come back to Iman as a caseworker arose, it seemed like it would be a good fit. Part of what I realized during my time as an organizer is that there was a passion and a talent for working with youth, you know, particularly these youth that had seemed to be kind of given up on. So I would just tell a person, man, try to be true to yourself. And, you know, the old adage, find what you would do for free and then find a way to get paid to do it. I think, you know, I'm grateful every day. You know, sometimes it hits us. You know, we might have a line of 2 or 3 people, you know, praying Dhuhr at Iman, and it's some messages that don't have that in the daytime. So I'm grateful, man, that every day that I get to go to work and be with my community. It's just a member and inshallah contributing factor. Is a blessing.
We got some questions in the live stream that I want to get to you guys. So I think your sister-in-law's on the live stream. Because some sister asked if you were single, and she shot it down real quick.
I was Fatima. She don't play it.
I assume it's like the handle is. Yeah, it is.
Fatty Mom.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Shout out to
Oh, that's funny.
One of the questions is, what percentage of converts in jail practice the religion and integrate into the greater community versus those who apostate later? Do you have any data on that? Did you understand the question?
Not at all. No,
that's our speculation.
No
Whoever
data on
answers it.
Yeah, I'm sure that's some kind of reality. A lot of times, what the brothers speak to is that in prison, they're in a real hostile environment. So,
go ahead.
Hostile environment. So, kind of the bond and the brotherhood they develop amongst each other is one that they don't always readily see or find when they leave prison. But as far as like apostating, no, I can't speak to that. Definitely can't speak to any statistics. You know, I mean, that's really why it's on us. You know,
he loves
to
this
help
subject.
Build a sense of community. You said what?
He loves this subject about apostates.
Oh man,
it's a very controversial subject. Involves a lot of controversial punishments. Let's just say.
Allah save us from it.
I mean,
so anyway, any other questions we got?
Let me see here. Obviously,
the jail population is not to the question exactly, but there needs to be more of what Iman is doing with Green ReEntry, but on a lesser level, just a place where people can feel comfortable, you know, with their faith when they get out of jail. Too many times we want to dismiss people and give them up because they break a rule that they knew better than to break. So we need to be more accepting and more less critical and more ready to help people make the needed change they need to make. We used to have a saying, working together we can make the necessary changes needed today, but only by working together can we do it. Now, let's don't be so hard on them, you know.
Yeah. Well, did you guys ever have that problem where, you know, you just start losing patience in people and perhaps even wondering whether, you know, you're in the right thing? Do you ever, I guess, sometimes you don't see the fruits of your labor quick enough and maybe get demotivated.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a lot of times that thing is there, you know, that you're working for something that you may not see all the way come to fruition. Because even with the guys in the program that have graduated, you know, a lot of the older men, well, I should say, quote unquote, when we say older, we're talking about like 26, 27 and older. Their youth populations are 18 to 25. But a lot of the older guys have went on to really use it as a stepping stone to begin careers, or, you know, they're a lot more stable than they were when they first started. And not necessarily all the younger guys are employed now, but by no stretch would I say that they haven't succeeded, because a large part of that success is for them a mind shift change, or you know, a mind frame change. So they may not be working, but they are more out of the way, or less at harm for committing violence or having violence committed on them. So I think in the work that we do, it's definitely different degrees of quote unquote success.
Yeah.
A person's development. Am I a success? You know what I'm saying? I'd like to feel like I'm working towards something.
Now, there's also this huge problem. Every community across the country, whether you're in the inner city or in the suburbs, we're all struggling with this problem of lack of leaders. And is there anything that you guys are trying to do to build, not just provide, trade skills and whatever, but hopefully provide people who have some incredible experiences? Everyone loves a good prison story, and they love a great comeback story, someone who got their life all together and then now is helping others get their life together. Have you guys thought about that at all, or possibly integrated that into your programs?
Yeah, for me, there was a quote that I used to hear when I was an organizer, that ideally organizers teach and leaders organize. But this whole notion of quote unquote trying to work yourself out of a job. But for me, I would love for people that have gone through the program to come back and be the ones helping to expand it, helping to make it grow. And a lot of the guys, you see it with brothers coming home from prison, is that they recognize that they contributed to the harm that we see and to the pain, that a lot of our inner city neighborhoods go through. And they really are actively trying to do something to give back to that.
Yeah.
So with the younger participants, I think what's beautiful is that they're seeing a brotherhood and a community that's really unlike one that they've ever known. Obviously you have relationships and, people that care about you, and some people that act like they care about you, say they care about you. But to be a part of a group of men that are only about uplifting, that don't want anything from you necessarily, other than your success, is what we tell the guys. But I guess what I'm trying to say is it's easy to buy into because there's something innately in you that makes you feel like I should be in a community. I should be doing something that's beneficial, something that's not tearing down.
Yeah. Well, I was just asking because a couple days ago I was watching, a Comedy Central on the YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
They had a comedian by the name of Ali Siddiq. I'm not sure what his situation.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's Muslim or not, but he was funny in itself because he's got a great prison story and he got his life together and he's just killing it on stage. He got so much material to work with from prison, and he's just like he's going up on stage and he's just killing it. And I thought it was like, man, if a lot of people who have gone to prison, I forgot the term you used. Formerly incarcerated people started using some of these experiences in a more creative way, in whatever art. You don't have to go on stage or whatever, but in whatever way that they can provide leadership. Because
we hear all kind of funny stories.
Yeah, they got some amazing stories. Some of the best comedians are the formerly incarcerated.
But it's a rough place to hone your craft.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not sending my kid there or to learn the skills.
It's like the thing about community organizing. It seems like we first started hearing the term when President Barack Obama was elected president, right? Because he was an organizer, and I think a lot of people in retrospect would say that they had hope for his presidency based upon what he did as an organizer. But then when I would go around, because when I would go and talk to brothers in Iman or anywhere on the South Side, they felt like he didn't live up to that. Like he kind of lost sight of that thing. As people who grew up on like do you guys feel that everyone knows about the South Side as an area of need? Everyone, like even Trump when he was running for president, was talking about like cleaning it up, right? Whatever. Like
Chicago shut him down.
What is the I guess there isn't like a one-stop shop solution. There's like, but if there is like one thing that you feel that needs to happen to start the momentum of like helping this community in general, not just the Muslims, but in general, where you guys grew up, what would it be? What do you think?
Recess and after school programs.
Yeah,
that would help. Yeah. Recess and after, give children a place to go when they get out of school to have fun. I say that based on my own personal experience. Having recess and getting out of school, being able to go to the children's building, play ping pong, shoot pool, go swimming. You had something to look forward to. Even if you didn't get to play, the anticipation. These children don't have anything to anticipate when they get out of school. Don't even have anything to anticipate when you get to school. You know, we were looking forward to recess. Don't let John Jones catch you. I mean, you have to have something to aspire to that don't cost nothing, that you can get when you didn't bring nothing with you. I mean, they take everything away and don't replace it with anything. Like me taking the pork out the refrigerator.
Right.
You got to give children something to do. Don't matter whether they like it.
Yeah.
I mean, it helps when they like it,
right.
But you give them something to do. And, you know, some of the children like it, they'll grow to like it. You know, we wrote latchkey programs for children. You go out, you get out of school, you go home, you have to let yourself in. We would write programs where they could come to our building, watch TV, read a book, shoot marbles, do something.
Yeah.
Recess and after school. Children need constructive activity that is extracurricular.
Yeah.
I was a documentary on NPR that came out, was it a year or two ago on Harper High School?
Oh, okay.
You familiar with? Yeah, and I
didn't see the documentary, but I know Harper and some.
You know, the neighborhood apparently there was like everybody who attended Harper was by default in a gang, based upon because it was like depending on where you lived, you didn't have to pledge allegiance. It was like that was.
You were associate. The association came just from being over there.
Right. So, if you have a program like that someone's going somewhere, but they have to. But you still have to deal with that kind of problem, right?
I mean, I think
you develop support systems.
Yeah, okay, and part of what I was saying, in addition to obviously what my father shared, is that they need somewhere to go, and you need something to be a part of. I mean, people in general, we're looking for something to be a part of and to be connected to, and to help us, you know, realize our own value and validation. So. You know, in the inner cities, sad to say, a lot of what that has become is a gang affiliation, you know, because you're just you refuse to believe this narrative that the popular culture may have for you, a dominant society that you're nothing, you know, that you're so disinvested in, that you have little value. So you find people that, well, you know, you could be with us, you know what I'm saying? I've never been in a gang, so I wouldn't try to act like I'm speaking to reality directly. But people want to be a part of something, and that's part of, I think, what we see in the program that you know attaches the heart so much to it with the participants, is that they're a part of it, you know, and we see value in them, and we express love for them, and they, you know, love for us. It's all really mutual. So I think, as far as what our communities need, people need to care for each other. We need to. You know, man, we don't really need to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
None of you truly believe until you love for your brother that which it is you love for yourself. And, you know, not to make it oversimplified, but the brother Johnny Page with Contextuals often says the people that are closest to the problems are closer to the solution as well. Right. You know?
I want to close off on a light note. When I talked to Gemali about scheduling the show, I was like, I know it's Easter Sunday. You guys got anything going on that day? You know, because he was like celebrate. I'm like, no, well, you know, you got non-Muslim family. Maybe you got like an Easter lunch or something that's kind of dope.
Easter egg hunt. If I had a non-Muslim family, I'd go.
But like,
I always thought that would be funny.
We touched upon a little bit.
I'm just joking.
Like Muslims who are from exclusively Muslim families, some of them like don't even have like non-Muslim like very. It's hard. Sometimes most Muslim friends I have that are like don't even have like non-Muslim friends, and the ones they do, they're like, oh, it's for dawah.
Well, that's a whole show, you know. Across the spectrum, you have all different types of relationships, approaches, and responses to family.
Right.
And you got a lot of different type of family positions. Some mothers I've seen are so supportive of their children who have accepted Islam. Other mothers I've seen don't ever speak to me again. So it's different. Anything you can imagine is a reality for somebody.
For me, what I'll say is I really try to prioritize peace. So I have cousins that they live in Israel, and they've had to serve in the Israeli Defense Force or whatever it's called.
IDF. Yeah.
It's just the IDF. When just as growing up as a citizen, and my grandmother, God bless her, she passed away. I know it would hurt her to see arguing and stuff like that. So even I would not even broach the topic, because I'm definitely not here to convince someone of anything. But I just try to focus on the good and just, like I said, ultimately to prioritize kind of peace and happiness. I know some of my siblings have had these conversations with them, and alhamdulillah, it didn't seem like it went too well. But I guess part of it is protecting myself from getting worked up and, having it go somewhere that I would rather not go. But because ultimately, we're taught in our religion to not cut the ties of kinship. So you have to look for that thing that allows you to just follow that, and inshallah work from there.
Right. Imam Ibrahim, any closing thoughts?
Bismillah. Worship Allah, send peace and blessings on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and be a good example. Do what you say, be who you claim to be. Walk it like you talk it.
That'll be good advice going into Ramadan here in a couple of weeks. And how can people find out more about, they want to get involved in Iman, Green ReEntry, anything, the projects you guys got going on? Like, where can they go to find out more about?
Yeah, you can go to the official website, imancentral.org. You can follow us on Instagram, social media. So right now what we have is a class helping prepare for Ramadan with Ustad Ubaidullah Evans every Tuesday, 5:30. Every Ramadan, one of the spaces I absolutely look forward to is a Ramadan Reflections, which is every Wednesday in Ramadan. And the last one is always big, as far as when you talk about Muslim and non-Muslim, but the community iftar, where we're out in the parking lot having dinner, praying Tarawih, it's one of my favorite days of the year, I would say.
Yeah, I would definitely, if anyone in Chicago should definitely check out the Wednesday program, and then the big iftar at the end. That seems to drive a lot of people, bring a lot of people in, right?
Yes, a few hundred now. And, obviously, Iman is a nonprofit, so whatever support you're able to give, we appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. I will make sure there's links and all the good stuff in the description below, so you guys can reach out to these wonderful brothers.
I appreciate the work you guys are doing. I mean, really, I have a lot of positive vibes toward the future of Islam in America when I'm getting around you guys. So
yeah, every so often we end up getting depressed. I think during the week we get depressed because you see all the news and the horrible things happening, and then alhamdulillah, we see you guys on the weekends.
I pray Allah help the people in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, so much. What was it? 150?
207 at last count.
Oh my God! SubhanAllah.
Trying to prove a point.
Yeah.
Yeah, senseless. I mean, this is something that we all heard about several times with the hadiths of the prophets, where towards the end of times there's going to be people killing for no reason, and you won't know, the killer won't know why he's killing, and the people who are being killed won't understand why they're being killed, and it's
that's
just
today.
Yeah, we're living in that time right now. We're living in the times of the Hadith Jibril, where people are building the tall buildings. These are all wake up signs, and it doesn't mean that we just succumb to our fate, but it means that we have to change. And
recognize a sense of urgency.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Thank you so much, brothers.
Jazakallah khair for coming
Allah
through.
bless you all.
I mean, for our special guests, Gemali Ibrahim and Imam Ibrahim, and my co-host Sim.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
This is Mahin signing off. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alhamdulillah.